Welcome back to Blunt in the Bedroom. I'm here with Aurelie. My name's Patty, and we're recording from the cozy comfort of each of our bedrooms in the wildly wonderful legal cannabis state of Oregon. We're going to have a blunt, or maybe we already have been, and then we're going to be blunt. Maybe not blunt enough, maybe too blunt. You get to decide. This episode, we're just going to go down another rabbit hole and indulge our conspiracy-loving brains by exploring Atlantis and the theories about it that we could find. And our customary whatever else we feel like talking about, right?
Right.
So what you been smoking today there? Aurelie?
Pineapple Express, I think.
Ooh.
What about you?
Still working on this. What is it? Oh, the biscotti pancakes. Good old weed. I wish
Yeah.
they'd name it something serious so we could be taken seriously. You know, like what would some good things be instead of like stinky cheese cannabis? It could be like soul lifting or soul lifter. Wouldn't that be a good strain name?
Mm-hmm. I'd
Or
smoke
like,
it.
yeah, what about like peace in the world?
I
Peace
like
and
it.
sunshine, right? Like peace sunshine weed. Like what the fuck's wrong with us? We've lost sight of the whole thing here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to pop a question on you. So, before we decided to do Atlantis as a topic, what did you know about it? Did you bring up doing Atlantis? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I remember seeing the movie, like the cartoon a long time ago. And I know that there's like mythology surrounding it, and some people believe it's real. So that's as far as I know, that it was just like a city that was really advanced, technically, like more than we are, and it sank.
Oh, it sank.
Did
Okay.
it did it not? Is that how the mythology goes?
No, I guess I didn't know, like I couldn't remember if I had thought of that being part of it before or if I was thinking of that just because of the Randall Carlson stuff that I listened to like last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I saw a YouTube video, and what's currently, well, I don't know, I can't say what's currently believed. The story behind it is that it was a really thriving city, and then the people got like really greedy and stuff, and then the gods punished them. Like they got like too big for their britches, or whatever the saying is. They started thinking that they
Oh.
themselves were gods, and so the gods punished them by wiping them off the face of the planet.
That's interesting. Huh. That seems like a theme that's probably recurred throughout history.
Yeah. And Aquaman is based around that mythology.
Oh, okay. Wasn't that interesting? We both set out to research the same thing and we came back with different stuff. It's weird.
Well, what did you find?
I did not know the Aquaman thing at all, but I think the advanced civilization, and somehow I had it all like gold in my head or all glittery or something. I don't know why. Um, that I had in my head about it. And I think the thing about sinking, I did too. I must have. Anyway, but yeah, so that was where I started from what maybe a couple years ago. That was everything I had known and then over the last couple of years I got a little obsessed and went down major YouTube rabbit hole of this guy Randall Carlson that I think I've talked about before. Where the stuff that he says definitely turns some heads and gets him called a conspiracy theorist occasionally, or pseudoscientist, I believe, maybe more often. And I don't know what to think. Like, I also see how our institutions that are the last word on things could be very easily corrupted. So it's like, an independent eye trying to read um a myriad of scientific studies and make sense of it all sounds intriguing to me, and it's like it's hard for me to believe that a well-read layperson wouldn't be capable of that and that only the experts have the answer. Like there is something about that I don't like.
Yeah.
So I think it appeals to me that he's that kind of person that would, I'm getting off track, but that he's that kind of person that would take the time to actually try to learn everything
Mhm.
from the actual scientist doing the work and trying to amalgamate his understanding based on that versus like what the published conclusions say in like the broader associations of scientists. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. It
I
gets
mean, with that
tricky.
information, like thinking about it that way, we could definitely be seen as conspiracy theorists because just
Mhm.
earlier in this conversation, we were like, I saw a thing about, some people believe that we might have been a bacteria on some comet, and you were like, you and I were completely like, yeah, maybe that's true, like right away.
Yeah.
So like if we go by the definition that you just described from this person, we are definitely just right along in that little, you know, path or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think I'm skeptical, but I'm like, it's weird. Even the definition of skeptical, like some people who question literally everything down to reality, like think that that's being skeptical. There's other people that um, decide that collected body of works of the mainstream science communities is not to be touched. Like they really do treat it as sacred and still call themselves skeptical. So,
Really,
words words are mushy. Words don't really mean anything. Words just give us feelings in our body and we react. It's
that's
how it
true.
works. We're programmed to react in certain ways to certain words and tones and we're just electricity and what is it? What is it I say? Chemicals and electricity? Yeah, we're just chemicals and electricity. Yeah,
It's weird to
anyway.
think about it that way,
Yeah.
but we are.
Yeah, weird. Energy moving matter and matter is really just like congealed energy.
I don't. That's the like to me. That's the most worst word. Congealed.
I shouldn't use that word. I'm trying to so I tried really hard to listen to an explanation of string theory, which it's like all in the math realm, but they were trying to explain it physically, like what the numbers were sort of describing, and it was like getting down, smaller than quarks, smaller than whatever the fuck it is that makes quarks, and down and down and down and down and down. And deciding that what it comes down to is like basically this little string of energy, electricity or something. And that like when enough of those are densified enough, you get matter.
Hmm. Can't say I understand. I understood what you just said,
I know, I'm not
but
sure
it's
I do
okay.
either.
I don't. I've never. Physics has never been my strong suit at all. Like
Oh no.
physics is the first class I actually had to like really study for.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oof. Yeah. No, I mean, this is me just like attempting to comprehend anything being said by these great minds in that field. So their description of it led me to how can I say that in one word? Congealed.
Okay. It's just, do you know some words just kind of like great? Like,
Yes, but doesn't our embodied in this dense piece of matter great when your energy just wants to be free to explore the whole universe, Aurelie?
does it?
Oh, we are
Because
good
mine
and
is
high
very
tonight.
comfortable where it is, actually. I think that's one way that you and I are
Oh.
very different. You're like, burn it all down. And I'm like, hold on.
Oh no, I just want to miss frizzle my way around the entire universe. That's all.
I mean, haven't you even like kind of dived a little bit, whatever, into in like the astral realm or whatever?
I mean, I've made my attempts at stuff like that.
See, that to me is like, no, like absolutely not. What if you get stuck somewhere else and can't get back to your body and just
Oh, but see that
lost?
this is where I'm a skeptic and I'm like, but is that real though?
I mean, how can we know if we exit our bodies that we were like that we're in already and like I could argue we belong in, and I don't know. I just it's so everything about that makes me very uncomfortable.
I jumped into a sculpture once.
What?
Yeah, I was high as a lot. A friend gave me a brownie and I had the night to myself. It was like I was intent it was, it was intentional to be like a meditative night. I was like really dealing with some things and I was gonna just like take this brownie, eat this brownie and just like to completely go into it, right? Because I've definitely used it meditatively and like as a healing medicine in a brownie. And my friend gave me a brownie and I was like, great. And I ate the brownie right after having texted him to say, oh, how much of it should I eat? Proceeds to eat the whole thing. He texts back, oh, I wouldn't eat very much of it. I only had a nibble and I'm getting kind of high. Oops.
Oh,
Yeah. It was a good night. As I said, I at one point I realized I was looking out of the eyes of my little goddess sculpture on the counter. I don't know. You tell
wow.
me. Whatever. Brains are cool.
See, when I get that high, I go to sleep. I cannot handle it. My heart starts going fast. My anxiety is just through the roof. I'm anxious about breathing too much and not enough. And like it's just to me, it's just so scary to be that high. I just go to sleep.
That
I've done
sounds
that
like
on
a
accident before.
that sounds like a sativa to me. I would never have a lot of sativa because that's what would happen.
Yeah, I don't, it's because so it was an edible that I bought. This is always stories of edibles doing stuff like this.
It
That's why I don't mess with
is.
edibles too much.
That's right.
But um, but it was a gummy, but I thought it was a gummy for like a person, like it was a serving, right? No, it was 10 servings. So I took the whole thing and gave Antonio just a little bite of it. But what ended up being 2 servings for him and 8 servings for me. And that was stupid. I should have read now I read the packagings obsessively because you could buy a Rice Krispie treat and have that be 10 servings too. Like how the hell?
Right. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be satisfied eating 2 bites of a Rice Krispie treat. Come on, they know nobody's eating that. Putting that whole thing down and you know it.
Well, I would have definitely before I went through that trauma of being that high unexpectedly.
Ugh, I was so high once on accident from a caramel, a homemade one that a friend gave me. It's always the ones that friends give you. She said, I haven't been brave enough to eat a whole one. And I was like, oh, that little quarter of a cookie I had the other day, my first time having it, didn't do much. So I'll just have this whole caramel. Oh, it was so strong. It made my stomach hurt. Like I felt like barfing. Yeah, no good. I don't want to do that again. And I also felt like I was sideways, like I was existing in a, approximately 60-degree angle.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was weird.
See another edible.
You got to have dedicated time, space, and intention if you're going to go in on an edible. Like I
Yeah.
really think, you got to be prepared. Like what deep soul darkness am I going to work on within myself if all goes wrong with this edible? You got to be ready.
Or go to sleep because it really does work. I
That's
mean,
true.
knock out. Oh my goodness. Like I really that one time that I took that 8 servings, I kept going in the like where Antonio was, and I was like, I'm not okay. Why am I so high? I don't know what to do. I'm like freaking out, seriously considering going to the emergency room.
Oh no.
Oh man, no, I don't do that anymore. I just now I buy the single servings. So you know the little white thing. I don't remember what the brand is, but they sell them in all of the dispensaries. Those work fine. There it's like 10 grams per one edible. So it is a lot, but it's like a normal lot, not homemade edible with too much whatever in it.
Right. Not wander around your house wondering if the ER is your next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible. I mean, the thing is, you can feel like shit, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah. But
So,
I'm not convinced of that because it's like if I stop concentrating on breathing, will I stop breathing? It's like that kind of paranoia that hits me. It's not like, is there a monster in the closet? It's like, are my lungs gonna stop working if I forget to breathe, to inhale, like that kind of stuff? And is yeah.
I think the body would take care of itself.
Logically, I know that now, but yeah, it's just been sometimes. But
Nope,
yeah, I
I
mean,
get you.
I haven't died, so obviously, like it's fine.
Yeah, if it did that, if it just let people forget to breathe, I think we would know about it as far as like being a problem.
That's true.
Yeah, that's funny. Boy, anti-cannabis folks would be so excited if that was provable. Oh dear. Okay, well, Atlantis. So I did my best research work. Honestly, sixth grade me would be so proud. Um, so I do want to preface everything we're going to say with the mainstream knowledge that there is no conclusive or tangible evidence for Atlantis actually having existed.
Yes.
Like what we have is pretty scant and is almost entirely mythological, but we'll get to it. It still is so fun to think about. And that Randall Carlson guy and all of his conspiracy theories, we'll get to it, but he has a pretty good thought about what he thinks it could be. And he's just, you can tell it just like lights his brain up. He's so excited with thinking that the things that he's deduced might have been real. But you know what? He does seem like a smart guy to me, conspiracy theorist or not. So I don't know. I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, me too. Because why not? It's not
Well, I
like we're
mean,
gonna get in a put together from Amazon submarine and go down there to look for it. That's too soon for that kind of joke.
oh, it wasn't too soon the day they turned into pink dust, if you remember what Twitter looked like.
But well, okay, so if it were to be believed that it is true, like from the actual Plato story of how grand it was and everything, and we're going to look at it like in that literal way, then it's impossible for it to have been true because we would be able to see it because it was so big according to Plato's story.
Oh,
We'd be able to see it from satellite pictures, suppose according to the internet.
well, yes, maybe. That's interesting. I definitely didn't come across that. How funny is that? Should I just jump to what Randall Carlson thinks about it?
Yes, I would love to know.
Okay. So, the place that Randall Carlson is kind of currently supporting as being the place that he thinks it came from is called the Azores Plateau. So it's in the North Atlantic. So this would be where the Atlantic ridge is there, where it's like it's splitting apart. Is that right? It's splitting apart there. Yeah, I think that's right. So the ocean floor is splitting apart there, and it's also the intersection of three tectonic plates, the continental plates. So it's North American, Eurasian, and African plates. And what we see is that the plateau, as it's known, the Azores Plateau, is part of the ocean floor. So it's like an area that is raised and large, but it's right at this intersection and it's below the water now. I'm getting all excited. My voice is
Okay,
going up and up.
so I think that there's more than one Atlantis story then, because where I heard it, it wasn't in the Nordic area. It was in what is would be modern day northern Africa and part of Turkey.
That would be the Mediterranean, wouldn't it? Huh. Yeah, I've never heard that one.
But in mythology, though, it is Nordic looking people like Aquaman, not the Aquaman in the movie, in the Aquaman movies, but in the comics and stuff, it is Nordic.
Oh,
So I think that there's just more than one Atlantis story.
sure. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, there's more than one Noah story.
Yeah. And I mean,
Huh.
there's oceans all over, so it makes sense that there would be stories like that all over.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think this by the Straits of Gibraltar, just outside of the Mediterranean Sea was another
Yeah.
spot people had talked about. And then at Antarctica, like theories about that because here it's been covered in ice for so long that they're like, oh no, there was no people around when it got covered in ice. Well, question mark, question mark, question mark. It's fun to think about, but what if?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so okay, so the whole Azores Plateau thing, um, the way Randall Carlson sees it is that it kind of relates to what we've talked about with the younger Dryas, with the like large and quick um like change of climate on planet Earth, like about 10,000 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, this Azores Plateau, Randall Carlson kind of aligns the timing of that great cataclysm that he's saying could have wiped out this hypothetical Atlantis with that younger Dryas, which is that couple of quick, relatively quick warming events on planet Earth that would have raised the sea level significantly over time and like kind of caused a deluge, like a big flood. Not a Noah flood, but a glaciers melting kind of flood. Um, why am I so worked up? I'm like hyperventilating. I'm so like worked up to be talking about all this stuff. Why is that? Okay. Right. So with those warming events, it would like raise up the sea level and all the water, the seafloor would be subsiding from just the weight of the extra water. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that would be on the ocean floor and would be pushing things down. And so I think he kind of sees that combining that subsiding of the ocean floor and the influx of water from the glacial ice, that would be something that might have um well that and or an earthquake type thing could have disrupted a small continent of Atlantis out there at that tectonic plate boundary and made that part of land subside under the water.
Hmm.
So that's how he had proposed it or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So and he claims to have read geological studies that support it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm opening up Google Maps.
Okay.
So
Yes.
in the Nordic Sea, right?
North Atlantic.
North Atlantic. Yeah. Okay.
It's where the tectonic plates meet, so I don't know if that's visible. I think
There are
it's
islands in the middle of the Atlantic, like right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
well, sure, because the ocean floor is like spurting up new ocean floor right there.
Like there's roads on it on these.
Yeah, it's not that hard to believe. There could have been something big enough to hold a civilization at one time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the map, New York City is tiny and look how much go is there.
Right.
And back in a long time ago, like it wouldn't have been like you wouldn't have needed all what we consider now to be extravagant.
Right. Well, and who knows? I mean, I think that theories often embody the idea of like having advanced but different technologies and stuff, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
with some really wild theories. But who knows? I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I want it to be true. I'll just say that.
Yeah, me too. And I think it is. I think that there's a lot of real stories like that. It's just probably not, it's definitely not going to be like as sensationalized as it would be in a story.
Right. Yeah. The truth of it would probably, yeah, would never be as exciting. You're right.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think you're right also about the like the different technologies because we have all kinds of just like cell phones and all kind of technology here. But if I go to DR and I see someone taking like a certain type of rope to climb up a tree, like, you know, they put it up and then they climb a little bit and they put it up, that is to me very like advanced, because it's just different, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, these people can climb these trees that have no limbs. It's just the palm trees. They do that, you know, with these like innovative things that they just threw together. I find that
Right.
to be advanced, because I couldn't do it without a whole like YouTube video.
This one's an extra stoned night. Well, I feel like I should explain like the other half of what Randall Carlson connects to the Azores Plateau, like how he gets to that. Because shockingly, we only have one record of Atlantis. It comes to us, well, okay, technically two, but it comes to us through two things that Plato wrote. And I saw it. It's like Cretia, and there's another name from his other book that apparently this story shows up in both of them. So, but this is literally our only thing about it. Everything else has been a spin-off series. Okay. So we don't have any corroborating independent accounts. But in that writing, there's this character named Cretia, I think is how that's said. And they tell Socrates about Atlantis. But they say that that story came from this guy, Solon, who was a statesman in Athens. But he heard it. Oh my God. He heard it from Egyptian priests because he had been like being a congressman or something in Egypt at the time. And so the story conveys the demise of Atlantis, and it describes it in terms of like a big deluge of water. And they estimate it to be about 9,000 years, 8,000 years, something like that before their time. At least the way Randall Carlson relays this story. And so that lines up, according to Randall Carlson, with this Younger Dryas thing that he's been studying. And so that's how he made that connection.
Wait, so when Plato and all that was going on, it had already been 9,000 years before them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that is what literally everything about Atlantis is based on.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be some sort of, not a creation myth, but a end of times myth, like Noah's Ark or something, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's what you said, you know, like the fact that there's so many legends of Atlantis in so many places could very much be another one of those, like some experience that happened all over the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe there were previous civilizations. Maybe somehow there was a whole previous range of humans that were on the planet, and somehow all of their advanced cities were placed in such a way or built in such a way that it got fucking destroyed when a comet hit the earth and made the glaciers melt, you know? And it only
Yeah.
left the like primitive people living in the countryside or something. I don't know. What
Well, it's
if?
like you were saying before in the previous episode. I mean, what would the bottom of the Sahara Desert look like? Like under all the sand? What's under there?
Because we know it all got washed up in a huge tsunami like experience up the whole west coast of Africa. Hell yeah, I love this. The what ifs are so fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, see, I mean,
But then
9,000
people
years.
do think we're crazy when we start doing that. Remember Sergey in at the beach?
Yeah.
Every time he said something that was like he thought was really outlandish, and you and I were like, yeah, maybe. Like when he was like, no scientist can ever see what's on the other side of the sun, on the other side, like from where we are. Something like that he was saying, and you were like, yeah, like there could be a whole nother planet back there and we just wouldn't know. Like that's true.
There's no way
He
it could be
definitely
true
looked at
though.
us like we were crazy.
I don't know what he thought about us by the end of the night. That was crazy. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't come across any stories of maybe Atlantis being in the Bermuda Triangle, because doesn't that have all kinds of crazy stories about things like disappearing just bloop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says here that the Azores Plateau is North Atlantic, three continental plates: Africa, North Africa, Eurasia, and African plates. So we are thinking about the same thing then, because that's what it said. We're modern day Northern Africa and what is now Turkey. So
Oh,
it's the
okay.
same thing, and then also the Straits of Gibraltar were mentioned too.
Mm,
It's just that the Nordic Sea and that place it's not that close to each other.
I didn't say the Nordic Sea.
No, okay. So I was just picturing those people because that's what the mythology is
Oh, yeah.
in like Aquaman and stuff. Okay, so that was me. Never mind. That
Gotcha.
was my own head.
Oh, that's so interesting. Since I didn't know about the Aquaman thing, and you said they're Nordic, they're depictured, or they're, oh my God, I'm so stoned. I just said depictured instead of depicted or
And you said it
pictured.
in a way that I thought it was a word that I just didn't know yet.
Oh dear. Can we just call this one the stoned episode?
The one where we're stoned. Is that like How I Met Your Mother or Friends?
Friends. That's the Friends shtick. Yep. I had come across some weird shit when I was, rabbit holing YouTube, um, where there was people talking about Atlanteans almost like they were aliens, and I could never quite tell if they were saying that it was alien like wait, like the Atlanteans were humans that got helped by aliens, or if they like interbred, or if um the aliens just were the people and like became humans or something, or
Hmm.
were humanoid living on Earth at the time. Oh, I couldn't quite tell. It's all really vague and weird because it's just clickbaity AI created nonsense, right? The one thing I was catching from it was all of their imagery of these Atlanteans showed like tall, lanky, pale, blonde haired, blue eyed, sparkling people. And I was like, what are they doing here with this Nordic look? Are they trying to say something? Is this just like part of mythology? But a couple of videos threw in weird stuff about like Jesus Christ and God's chosen Donald Trump type stuff. So I was like, okay, what's happening? And and then so that like immediately made me prejudiced over who was making these videos and what their intent was. And then I was like, well, wait, what if they're making it so that like these Atlantean people were like the more advanced white people that came even before the advanced African people? And that was me just maybe like intuiting too far into how white people could be stupid. But I don't know. It seemed like the undertone was there to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a little weird, but hopefully I didn't get that many views. But knowing YouTube, meh.
What in the movie The Lost City of Atlantis, aren't they? Well, they're like tan skin with white hair, if I recall.
I've never seen it. I mean, I guess there's so little evidence for Atlantis that anybody can do whatever they want.
Yep,
But
I mean, but form follows function in nature, so it would have like the climate would depend 100% like what they look like. It would have to be go with the climate. So if it was further north, then it makes sense that they would have been lighter. Well,
yeah.
maybe.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
I think that they're finding that white people actually came from caves, not in snow.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
and it makes sense. Like if you look at it, okay, this is definitely going to be a tangent, but I find genetics really fascinating. But the certain features, right? Like you got to be able to like you can't need a whole lot of vitamin D, right? You need to be able to see each other in the dark. So you would have to be lighter, and the light eyes can't even be in the sun that much. And then also the hair, like the oil. So people African people, their hair doesn't, the scalp doesn't really produce oil, but the more European side does. And wouldn't that be to insulate in the cold caves?
I would think so. I mean, that's how our like a Little House on the Prairie, to keep their shoes waterproof, they would like rub fat grease into their leather shoes, their
Oh,
boots. So maybe it was like a damp, like protecting from dampness or something. Would that make sense?
I would think that it would be to keep the head warm,
Really?
to keep
Okay.
it kind of insulated. Like that's where they're saying that more people are believing now that white people actually like evolved more in caves than in the north where the snow is.
I love that idea somehow. And why does that just make so much sense?
Yeah.
Caves.
But if you go to Sweden, those people are very white and they live in the snow. So I don't know. But they also have
Well,
now. They could have been in caves for a long time.
they keep a constant temperature of more like 40, 50 degrees. And so I
Yeah.
wonder if even in places where it was, snowy, like north, if they would just like set up camp in the caves for the winter or something. I love
Yeah.
that idea. I always say I'm a cave dweller because I like my house really dark.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about? That Randall Carlson talked about was that the Atlanteans were like advanced seafarers, like not necessarily advanced in all technologies, but that they were like absolutely the rulers of the sea,
Hmm.
and that was like their superpower.
Oh, and this is what I'm going to share my screen
Oh, okay.
so you can see what they look like in this movie. So
Okay.
this is just how I've always pictured it.
The Lost Empire. Amazing. Isn't it amazing how far it went from two little stories, two little things written by Plato? Craziness.
Well, apparently, since that was written, people have just always been fascinated by it
Yeah,
ever since.
it's the things we don't know. We like to
Yeah.
wonder. Huh.
And have some explanations for certain things because they
Yeah.
probably have always had like, different things wash up on the shore or whatever. So maybe it's easy to believe things like that.
That's a good point. That must be from Atlantis. Well, and it's like a little what is it? Suspension of disbelief, like taking comfort in the escapism a little bit of getting to dream or do the what ifs about an ancient advanced civilization. It's just so
Hmm.
fucking fun to think about because they didn't have fossil fuels. So like, ooh, squee, what if they had a better thing? Yep, I like dreaming about that stuff too.
Yeah. I still do it with my books and all the
Yeah.
crazy topics that I put myself all the way in there with the aliens, with the dragons, with the vampires. I just immersed my whole brain in that story.
Oh, that's a different thing about us too.
You
I
don't do
don't,
that with books?
I mean, I like a good book, but I've never been one to read fantasy stuff. Like
Um,
I like things like time travel and stuff like that, but usually humans.
have you watched Time Trap, the movie that I recommended a long time ago? I think you would like that movie.
Okay.
It's very just, it's so different from anything that I've ever seen. Like such a new idea that I found it to be really interesting.
Time trap. I do like that kind of thing where it's like a little mind bender.
Yeah, well, they go in a cave, and the cave tell like the time moves very differently in the cave than it does outside. So it's like for every minute, it's a season outside or something like that. So anyway, they're there for a couple of hours, but really it's been like a really long, like millennia or whatever. So anyway, I think
Ugh.
it's cool the way it's kind of, it's not the like grandest movie or whatever, but I thought it was interesting.
All right. So just because I've been having fun fucking around with Chat GPT, trying to see what I can get it to tell me, I asked it, what do some say about the Atlantean race? Just wanted to see. So what it told me back was, without concrete evidence, interpretations of the Atlantean race remain speculative and often reflect the cultural and ideological perspectives of those exploring the mystery. You know what that means? That means white people are going to think it was white people, and everybody will think it was someone like them.
Yeah. It makes sense that if you don't have any other information about it, like that, those types of details, you're gonna fill it in with what you want to.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was really pretty insightful of good
Yeah.
old Chat GPT. But then, okay, so then this is what Chat GPT told me when I asked if believing in Atlantis was racist. Belief in Atlantis itself is not inherently racist. The story of Atlantis, as described by Plato, is a myth or allegory, and people interpret it in various ways. However, it's essential to be aware that certain fringe theories or alternative interpretations might involve racist or pseudoscientific elements. Always approach such topics critically and be cautious about the ideas that promote discriminatory views or lack credible evidence. The key is to distinguish between the mythological aspects of Atlantis and any unfounded or harmful racial associations that some individuals might attach to it. Holy shit, I think AI is going to save us. That was a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
It's like it thinking for itself.
no, no, it's got woke programmers behind it. Can't you tell?
I guess because I recently watched the movie, the show, The 100. Have you ever seen that?
Uh-uh.
And it's about AI deciding that humans are just beyond fixing, and they're just like, we're just, what's the word? We're too far gone, and it decides to detonate all the nuclear bombs, and it's just a whole show surrounding that. So AI, and that show ended years ago. So I like AI a little bit is like, didn't we just learn about this?
That's a fiction show, really. I know. We express our deepest fears in our fiction first. I totally get it.
Yeah. Somebody thought about it because somebody was concerned about it.
It's true.
Yeah.
They have a right to
Now I'm
be.
concerned about it too. I use it too. I'm not gonna lie. I use Chat GPT a lot for my job. But it does still give me pause whenever it says things like this. Like I stopped saying thank you. I did it at first just because like I'm supposed to say thank you when somebody does something for me. And it would say things like, and I hope you have a great day and like, enjoy the sunshine and some shit like that. And it's like all that. I don't know.
It must really respond to what you input for how it
Yeah.
responds back. Because I do that with my Google Home because I feel like she's listening to me all the time. I'm going to be nice to her. But ChatGPT, I mean, he just sits there dormant on my phone and he's just like my booty call when I need answers to something. So
An app. I always just use it on my computer.
have we come to the conclusion of our chaos episode about Atlantis?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think so.
I think so too. I like it. We take a nice high level approach and then just like, deep dive in a couple of places and then shoot off sideways a bunch of times. It's good. It's a good model. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you a believer in Atlantis, do you think?
Yes and no. I believe that it's probably there's truth to it as far as there probably was civilizations that were really advanced that were in the middle of the ocean and stuff like that. But I don't think it would have been exactly the way it's said in the story. Like I don't think that the gods sank it because of the behavior of the people, you know? I think there's better reason like better explanations for it.
So you do think that it was real, but that like you're stripping away the mythology. So do you feel like what Randall Carlson had to say is kind of convincing then? Like
I
lining it
think
up?
so. I
Right?
think that
Okay.
it's like in the way that not necessarily I believe it completely, but that I do see that it's a possibility.
I think that's fair. I mean, honestly, there's not much that I can say like, oh, I believe this,
Yeah.
other than things that are like verifiable reality, unless I'm a brain in a vat, right? But
Yeah,
otherwise, anything that's like slightly esoteric, I'm like, well, if I find comfort in thinking it's true, I'll think it's true, but I'm thinking it's true, knowing that like it's maybe not, and there might be some information or evidence that comes my way that shows it's not, and then I won't believe it anymore.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just can't
Same way I
imagine
feel
believing.
about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster.
You believe in those?
I believe that there are possibilities in the same way, right? Like, not necessarily, yes, but I don't have a reason to think that it's definitely not true.
Yeah. I personally think that Bigfoot is a hermit in the woods.
Like a person.
Yeah. Not a single person, but like is basically the embodied collective experience of people going out in the woods and like someone walking by or like darting by or like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's just people being freaked out by like a deer in the distance or something, And then it was just really a convenient thing to be like, I bet it was Bigfoot.
Yeah, maybe. I always thought it was a actual species out there that is just like really good at hiding and surviving deep in the woods.
you know, hmm. There is an awful lot of Washington state that's pretty wilderness. You might be
Yeah.
onto something.
Or it was a skinny bear, like I mean, that just had food poisoning. Like we don't, I
Oh,
mean, that just happened to get pictured, like seen a few times.
the Loch Ness monster, I just want to be true.
And mermaids, well, it's mermaid of sorts, not like, half human, half fish, but I do think that there's some stuff out there that we in the deep sea that we don't know.
I mean, there's things in the deep sea that we do know about are about as terrifying as you can possibly imagine.
It's
So,
true.
and otherworldly, like it's like an entire other planet down there.
Yeah. Did you say what you believe about this already?
Um, did I? Not really. I guess I'm maybe similar to you. Like, I'm willing to accept that Randall Carlson has conspiracy tendencies, but I also see his earnest effort to understand this. But I also see that he like wants this to be true to connect it to his other ideas about Younger Dryas geology type stuff. So I get that he's potentially biased in somewhat that way, but also he's pretty respecting of the broader term science, right? Or like the scientific method, right? Like he is someone who understands the value of that and also understands how it could be corrupted. So I think when I tried to put together everything I could understand about him, the case he made for this made enough sense to me that I was like, well, yeah, it could be, but it's not going to change my life whether I believe it was or not. And so like I find it fun to think about it, but if you were going to pin me down and be like, was it true? Was it really real? I would be like, I have no idea. I would be
Yeah,
totally agnostic on it.
agreed.
Yeah. But also, what would that matter?
Yeah.
it's like it's like thinking that a holy book written, like I don't know, 6,000 to 2,000 years ago in, halfway around the world, and you take it and you're like, whoa, I should definitely do everything that's in here and believe it 100%. Yeah, and then just do it and make up a whole kinds of things to do out of this book. What a good idea. Let's do that with.
Interpret it so many ways.
But I mean, that's what we just talked about, believing in Atlantis and recognizing that it doesn't matter one whit to our life whether Atlantis existed or not, really.
Yeah,
I can't. Somebody could maybe make a case. I just can't see it to any great degree. But I don't see how that's different than what people did with the Bible, with the Christian Bible.
agreed. Yeah.
I mean, just that it's more words. That's the only thing that's different. Because what if somebody like in Plato's time had decided that this whole Solon story about the 9,000 years ago, the flood thing happening, was like a message from the gods. And then Plato's cronies all decided that God was telling them to write out all of these rules for human living. And because of that Atlantis story and all of the writings that were inspired by it, They decided that they would dedicate their life to living this way and then did it for thousands of years that way. Isn't that exactly the same thing?
Yeah.
That's what we did with the Hebrew text and the Christian Bible. That's what we did.
Hmm.
That's weird. I feel like I ranted.
I feel like I'm having trouble keeping up with the conversation now. I'm so high.
Cool. We did it. Blunt in the bedroom achieved yet again. We're very good at getting stoned, really.
Yeah. Good talk anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we chaos episode.
Yes.
It must have been chaos when Atlantis got bashed into the sea by rising seawater.
Or by God's pushing the people.
That's true. It could have been that too. Okay. It was delightful talking to you, even though I think we were both ready for bed when it started. Tired. I feel like my eyes keep rolling back in my head before I remember to keep them forward. All right, for reals, for reals, for reals. Time to go. All right. Yay.
Bye.
Good night.